Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Grady. I am the chairman of the Inland Wetlands Commission, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is May the 9th, and it is currently 7:02. First order of business is always the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, if you're here for the Inland and Wetlands Commission meeting, you're in the right spot. If you're here for a different meeting, this is not the right spot.
If you're here for zoning or
If
anything
you're here for
else.
zoning stuff, that's at Massac High School. Okay. We'll introduce the members of the commission present here tonight. Where's my sheet? There it is. Starting at my right is Commissioner Clark Gingras. To his left is Ross Mastroraco. To his left is Commissioner Jim Stewart, who is a licensed professional engineer and a licensed landscaper. I'm sorry, land surveyor. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's been a day. It has been a day. To my left is Commissioner Stewart is also our treasurer, which we will get to later. To my left is our secretary, Lois Spence. To her left is Donna Szynski, who is our Inland and Wetlands Coordinator and Inland and Wetlands Commission and Land Use Coordinator. To her left is Scott Satsaline, who is the licensed professional engineer, a land use director, the town engineer, and our Inland and Wetlands agent. And as always, Rebecca Wood, our recording secretary. Before I start, I'm required to read you our mission statement and how the meeting will proceed. The overall objective and purpose of the Inland and Wetlands Commission is to provide for the overall protection and preservation of the inland and wetlands and watercourses within the town of Monroe. In the normal course of our meetings, we will hear public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is to have an applicant make a representation or a presentation to the commission, during which and after which the commission will be asking the applicant questions. The commission will then review town, staff, and other independent comments. The meeting will then be opened up for public comment. I will ask that any and all comments be made to the chair or the commission. After any and all comments pro, in opposition to, or of a general nature are made, the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond. It is not necessary that the applicant respond, but generally in their best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for new questions unless new material is entered in as evidence or testimony during their response. Please keep any and all comments pro and con specific to inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve public hearing will follow a similar format, with the exception that there will be no public comments allowed. The meeting follows our published agenda unless otherwise amended. The agenda is up here on the front table in green. Should anybody want a copy? Is there any changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, there are. Okay. The first change, most of them are additions that came in after the agenda was filed. So, the first is the addition under section 5, application hearing determinations. We've added a new application, IWC 2018-06. It's for 485 Pepper Street, Monroe Recycling and Aggregates. And under under deliberation sessions, under item 10, permitted uses as of right, we've added one addition for the Department of Public Works. And let's see, we've added to the agenda under item 11, IWC 2017-12, 265 Turkey Roost Road, and IWC 2016-10, 15 Owl Hill Road. The other item is under that same enforcement, under administrative reviews. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. 4 Monroe Drive, under Administrative Review Enforcements, under number item 11, IWV 2018-05, 4 Monroe Drive, and IWV 2018-06, 144 Meadows End Road will now be moved to item number 4 on the front of your agenda under NOV discussions, notice of violation discussions. So those 2 items were moved to the front. And that, believe it or not, is it.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I know that was a lot came in after we're
It
required
happens. It
to
happens.
file.
Now is a period of our agenda where I will open up the meeting to general public participation. This is a period of time reserved for public participation, as such related to inland wetlands matters not on the agenda tonight. Any members of the audience would like to make a comment of a general nature? Seeing none. Moving right along, there is no subdivision report or recommendations to P&Z. Regulated activities. IWC 2018-04-R, 8 Maple Drive, Rizzio, site development and remediation to address unpermitted parking area and clearing within 150 foot of a river, continued from our meeting of April the 11th.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you that we received a request for a postponement of that hearing. I have been working with the engineer on that, and we've made quite a bit of progress. But one of my main comments was about the lack of landscaping plan, that it was very inadequate what was given, submitted. So I relayed that to the attorneys, and they felt that, they agreed that that needed to be provided and felt that they would rather postpone and come once and do their presentation with the correct information. Donna had checked for whether or not we need any kind of extension.
That might, no, I don't think that we do, because these are regular, so they have till,
On 8 Maple?
yeah,
Because that's a remediation plan. So
No, it's a development plan with remediation.
right,
They're
so
expanding their parking lot and doing some development.
they have till June, so we're still within the original 65 days.
Any comments from the commission? Okay, well, if no one else is gonna make a comment, I certainly will. We are again continuing 8 Maple Drive, which has been on our agenda, how many times approximately? Any idea? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. there.
Yeah, a lot,
For
for several years.
several years,
Yeah.
right? And I have a feeling I'm gonna be making the same comment on our next item.
Yeah, and one of the things I could say to the commission is, it is very frustrating. I've noticed that with these applications that are tied to remediation, it seems that the level of response by these applicants just isn't there because it's a remediation. So they're not come in quickly with an application. It's a struggle, and we have to threaten the issuance of a citation in order to get them here. But having said that, once they file their application, if it is a development application, which all 3 of these on the agenda tonight are also development applications, what that does is it kicks it into the statutory timeline, where they have to produce within the statutory timeline. So although they're asking for a postponement, the clock is ticking, and they either have to grant an extension, or at some point their time is going to run out, and at that point you can issue a citation if they're not adhering. I have had positive feedback with the engineer. There was quite a bit of revisions that were done and I'm crossed off most of my comments, so I am pleased with that, but yes, it is frustrating.
So I guess my question as a commission going forward is, I'm getting tired of coming to these meetings and spending my time talking about the same stuff with no resolution. What do we do? Do we just keep blindly saying, okay, take your time, take your time, take your time? Or is
Go
there?
one meeting a month?
2 meetings a month.
What
you can
That's
do.
not a solution.
What you, have one meeting. What you can do is you can go ahead and issue the citation. And what that does is all it does is it throws the fine onto the property owner, $150 a day until they resolve the issue. The way we work the citations, as I think you know, is that if they then come to the citation hearing and they agree to a specific timeline, then in the end, it's likely possible that the fine is waived and the hearing is closed. If they don't adhere to it, or if they cause us any added expense, legal fees, added notices, things like that, you can communicate with the hearing officer and ask that at least those costs be covered in the fee, in the fine, that's charged. So we can do that. As you know, there's a bunch of them that are before you that have come before you because they have a citation already issued. So anywhere along the way, you can decide that this isn't going the way we want it to go, the timing or whatever else, and you can request that it be transferred over to the hearing officer for issuance, for me for issuance of a citation, and then it goes to the hearing officer.
In fairness to 8 Maple Drive, they did get their submission in when they were supposed to, and this was not their doing, this was actually their representative, I think, was away and deferred it to someone else, and the person that they deferred it to requested this continuance.
I understand.
I understand that that's not,
But
but I
this
just
is
wanted
not
to give
a-
you
I
the
mean,
full
this is-
background.
A professional prepared this submission and it's a blank estimate with,
Okay,
I mean, I get it, and I understand, and for the record, I'll move on after I say this, but for the record, I understand we're not here to be punitive, and we're not here, but, I mean, we're clogging up the works here for,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I got mailed stuff, for years about this stuff, that, someone's putting time and effort into making this stuff happen, and
I
it
think
seems
we
like the
just-
commission's working harder than the applicant in this situation. I don't understand
And
that.
this goes back to an earlier time when we went round and round and round to get people here. Now, as you know, now, we don't do that anymore. We contact them, we bring the administrative review to you, notice of violation gets issued, and if they don't show up or they fall off the table at that point, immediately we issue the citation. So hopefully, we're not gonna be in that situation where we have, and you're right, this one spans back, you could count years. So hopefully, as we move forward,
Okay.
you're not gonna see.
Well, I said what
It's
I
up
need
to
to
you.
say, so, anybody else have any input on this?
I say citation. If we're tired of it, it's the only way you gotta move on, then that's what you have to do.
I mean, are we citation today, or Scott, you, for the record, you have spoken to the representative, you expressed your concerns with what we are concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke
And
with,
they say they're gonna be here
and this
next
is being
time.
handled by an attorney. The attorney called me and agreed with me that the applicant's submission of the landscaping information was extremely deficient. And he said he would work on that and get him to submit something. The engineer wasn't involved with the landscaping. That was something that the owner did separate. And as I said, in my opinion, the hard thing is getting them here. Once they submit their application, there's a statutory requirement on it. So you know that it has to fall within that statutory requirement.
Which is, what is the requirement now?
They have
Is there time?
65 days for us to have the hearing once it's submitted. They have, the hearing has to be 35 within 35 days, and then they have 65 days of extension time that they could grant. Once you close the hearing, you've got, 35 days to make a decision.
So it's
Well,
what, four
but that's,
so much?
that's,
That's the portion of it that goes
they're
with
not,
the.
they don't
The
have
development.
that, because it's a regular, it's a
Oh, this is a-
regular review, so
Yep,
they have
yep.
the 65 days of review time. They do have the additional 65 days. Their original review time, from the date they submitted until the 65 days is up, is June 1st.
So-
Their second set of 65 days is for extension time if they go past that.
Yeah,
So
so
we
in
are
this,
still in the original time frame.
in this
So that
case,
puts us in mid-August.
this case, it's a little
When
better
nobody can-
because
we
you
can't plan
guys,
anything.
you guys required a regular hearing, which happens quicker.
Right,
So it's a
Okay.
little quicker than.
it is.
All right, so I guess my opinion of it then, is there a way that we could, put it on our next agenda for our next meeting, and we could not even discuss this if they're not here and ready, then this additional issues automatically? Or do we have to bring this up again? If they're not ready to go
I think
in 2 weeks, right? Are we 2 weeks?
We're in a little bit of a gray area because we handle, the development and the remediation as one application, and there are benefits to that. There's a couple of disadvantages to it, and one of them is they have legal rights. Once they submit an application, the state statutes give them a certain timeline that they have available to them. So for us
On the
to-
new development stuff, though,
I
but
know,
not on the
but
violation
but
stuff.
we're handling it as one
Okay.
application. And again, there's some benefits to that. So we could do them as separate, but I think you would see that it would be even more complicated and longer that way. It is very frustrating, but they do have some rights at this point once they submit their application, so.
Okay, so our action tonight is to continue to our next meeting,
Displeasure duly noted.
for all that's worth. Okay. IWC 2000, we don't need a motion or anything, right? It's
No,
No.
it's just a continuation.
just keep it going.
And then the 4 Maple, you actually did that, I'm sorry.
Last meeting,
At the last meeting, you granted that extension.
All right, so we don't have to do that.
yeah, so that's just a placeholder. at the
Okay.
moment.
All right, so moving on to our public hearings, IWC 2018-03, 425 Pepper Street, Growing Designs, Kidney, construction of a driveway, parking, and storage area within the regulated area.
So don't shoot the messenger. But we received, what was it, today? We received an email today from the engineer saying that he was not ready to proceed with his presentation, that he's still working on addressing your comments from the last meeting, and he requested a continuance.
Should I waste my breath, or should we just move it
That one's not a
forward?
violation. That one's just a development application, so he's within his rights.
Okay,
So we are not opening that public hearing, the clock does not start ticking. We've noticed it, but it's not
Yeah,
opening.
I mean,
Okay.
just to clarify a little bit, it kind of is a little bit of a violation, Lois, in
It
that
isn't?
it was
I'm
a
sorry.
development permit that you granted years ago, and they built
Oh,
they
yes.
built the garage, never finished
Right.
the site work, and it lapsed.
Mhm.
So if they don't produce on this, yes, you can proceed
Okay.
with the
Alrighty.
citation.
I stand corrected.
I didn't realize that, so, okay.
okay.
All right, so 344,
Okay, moving on to our enforcement, notice of violation discussion, IWV 2018-03, 344 Garter Hill Road, Wayne Michalka, hope I'm not butchering that, if I am, apologize. 2006, mitigation plan not completed, gravel, fill, and wood debris within the regulated area. And,
it's open, it's open.
should I call the next one too, seeing as though they're
Uh,
sorted together, or we are handling separate?
I think they are two different things. Why don't we just we'll start with one and
Okay.
kind of roll into the other one.
The Someone
Can't read
who's
it from
present, are
here.
you with that?
Yeah,
Audra?
two
Go down,
rows.
2 more down. There it goes, right there.
Okay, so we're gonna start with 344. I can't remember which one of you is which, so come on up.
44.
Come on up.
Okay, come on up to the podium for a minute.
Are you Mr. Machalka? Did I say it right?
Mahalka.
Mahalka, okay.
Say, I'm sorry, say it again?
Mahalka. the seaside.
Mahalka, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, just so you guys remember, both of these are shown on the same plan, and the 344 is the one to
The upper one.
this one.
No, the upper one.
This one.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. So basically what we have is the driveway comes in here, and this purple area, magenta area here is an area that was originally cleared and utilized for some storage of equipment and materials, things like that. Back in the day, we have, there was an approval, I think it was back in 2006, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 2006, there was an approval, yeah, there it is, approval for remediation on this property. And everything was wrapped up as far as the application and approval of remediation, but there was apparently no follow-up and the work never got done. So both of these, the work was never done. And recently, because of a pending sale of the property, this has come to light that the work was never done. So we brought, if you recall, last meeting or so, we brought this information before you, you went over it, and you asked that a notice of violation be issued, and that you have them come to talk to the commission about how to reinstate or look at addressing this today. So with that, why don't you introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about what's going on out there.
My name is Wayne Mahalka. I live at the top house. So yeah, back in 2006, we filled some land in down there, and we were in violation of inland wetlands. So we came here, had an engineered design plan done and approved, and just kind of, there's never any follow through from us. So, it's been 12 years. So, I think, I came and spoke with Scott last week, and, we probably need to get an engineer down there, because it's 12 years of growth and things have changed quite a bit. And maybe get a new plan drawn up and present it to you guys and see what you think. I don't know. I've never been involved with something like this before.
Yeah, so just to finish up with here, this area here, this blue area, that's the wetland. The dashed line here is the upland review area. That's the area that's regulated. And this area that's been cleared and some grading and fill on it is within the upland review area. It goes right up to the wetlands at this section of the area. My conversation with them is that the original plan that was approved showed them paving the driveway up to this point, coming in, this point here, and paving the driveway, putting an additional, I guess there's a catch basin there now that collects some of the water, but putting a new catch basin with a pipe out to a sedimentation basin. They're indicating that they feel that the driveway is stable, and therefore they really don't want to pave it at this point. They would rather put the money into restoring, planting plan or something to restore these two areas. But that's basically what we got out of the meeting.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Looking for your input at this point.
Are you still using that purple area for anything?
What I do is I split my firewood down there for my house for home use. It's not for sale. It's for home use. That's what I do. I have a couple canoes down there. It's a pretty big area that goes up against. Yeah, there it is, right there.
And that's kind of what it looks like currently?
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like currently.
Okay.
So the goal was to make corrective action here to, one, restore this to a natural condition and to do something out at the beginning of it out here to prevent, really discourage and prevent access. You know, you don't want, it's one thing for someone to utilize their property, it's another to have access of trailers and equipment and that kind of thing.
What's the surface on the driveway right now? That looks like millings?
Yeah, yes.
Is it millings or is it is it?
It's millings.
It's millings, okay.
Millings that have been put down and rolled and everything.
How
Had a
long ago
construction
was-
company come and do it for us.
How long ago was that?
Oh, the last time I did it was probably 2 years ago.
Do you mind coming up, sir, and just, for
Yeah,
your
you might
record,
as
so we
well
have
go-
your name?
you
You might as well,
Yeah.
are you the
I
mayor?
just do us together, because we're gonna.
Yeah, do
we're
it
gonna
together.
Get the same
I'm his
engineer.
brother, I'm Greg Mahalka. I'm obviously the other house.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the
So
lower
use this
house.
house.
And I was listening to everything that Scott was saying, but the lower property, just to speak for myself, that has not, there's maybe a little gravel pile on it, all, gravel pile, I think a little tops are left from landscaping that was done up on the house maybe 2 years ago. That's the only time I've really used it. And since we've had since we had to actually, in 2006, when we actually had this, because we were just doing because we wanted to just increase the property a little bit. And I was not knowledgeable about, I knew the wetlands were there, but when this happened, we were not knowledgeable. It's not like we were trying to, this was a learning lesson for us.
Yes, nobody thinks that you
Yeah,
you
so-
maliciously went in there and
Yeah,
destroyed our
exactly, yeah.
environment, you know what I mean? We're okay.
But what
We're all right.
I'm getting at is
I'll tell the officers waiting for you to leave, don't worry.
Okay. What we did do, I know Wayne did some too, is we did put a lot of seed, because when we did have that, we didn't do much on there, but we did throw all the seed down there. So if somebody was to walk the property, as I think Denise did, right?
Yeah.
It's all thick, it's all green now, everything's grown. You can go there in a rainstorm, there's no ruts, nothing is draining into the wetlands.
I mean, the question is, do you guys want us to get an engineer
I
to
mean-
tell us, design something for us? What do you want us to do? I mean, because we know about the plantings, we gotta get some.
And that is in fact the purpose of the meeting. So this
Yeah.
meeting is just an informal, and through the discussion here, they're gonna kind of let you know what they want you to do.
Oh, I got you.
And then,
Okay,
depending upon what they decide, then.
I got you.
Well, you
So
already have a
here's-
remediation plan,
What's
the
that?
old one.
We
Here
do
is
have
the-
an old one, yes.
It's right in front of you,
Does it-
that's
does it
the
comply?
remediation.
That's what it's in front, and that was what Scott was saying.
That was what was it?
Paving and.
That's the one that was approved.
And all that stuff, which-
So it called for paving this, a catch basin here, pipe, sedimentation basin, reseeding this area and this area over here. And what I told them was really reinstatement of the original plan. Now, I don't know what you want to do about the millings, you could let them know about that. I thought that this area down here, I see Denise, I think there were two separate plans, and I don't think she realized, oh, wait a minute, it's on the other one, okay, so,
Right, this is one.
hold on a second, let me get the other one out here. Why is that up here? So the other one is this one, and everything is pretty much the same, but you'll see that this shows the other area. This is looking
On the
back toward the driveway, right?
No, the driveway is where they're standing. And
Where you're
taking pictures.
standing, okay.
Yeah.
And so this one here has, she
Yeah.
did, okay. So there is a wetland area here that was filled. But the original remediation required that it be stabilized, but not restored, not excavated and restored. And, so they did have that approval, a period of time went by, so that's another thing you need to kind of direct them on. I didn't think that, that you, given that it's so stable, I was kind of suggesting that they take these two areas and come in with a planting plan to put something out there to kind of help it get back to Mother Nature and to discourage and prevent future use in a big way, especially since it's this one here that's for sale, right?
Yes.
That since a new person is moving in and there's this big field there that's like a lawn, that, you know, it would be time to put the markers in and put some plantings out there.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Some wetlands markers, planting to discourage future use and storage of whatever.
Okay, and as far as the wetland goes there, are you okay with just, do you want to walk this and look at it first?
I would like to walk.
All right, okay.
Maybe go just, because I
Yeah.
can see
Yeah,
it's
give
not.
us a call, I'd rather walk it with you.
Yes,
You know,
it's
see
really
what-
grown
We'll
in.
get your contact info from Donna,
Good,
and
thanks.
we'll give you a call, sure.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is, they're not gonna make a decision on this tonight, they'll come out and walk it, and then we'll get back to you as far as what they're gonna be looking for. But I think it's safe to say to them that you're gonna be looking for resubmitting the submission plan with some changes. And the changes are gonna be, they're gonna consider planting, they're gonna look at this millings and consider how to deal with that, right? If at all.
Mhm.
And they're gonna think about this sedimentation basin and pipe. The only reason that was proposed, I think, was because they were paving it.
Right.
All right, and then you've
Is
got
there-
the other area up
I got a
there.
question, on the millings on the driveway, is the driveway on the millings flat, or do you have it like, do you have embankments on both sides? Because if that stuff flows down, it's just going right down the hill then.
Yeah, there is, yes, there is bankments here. On the very bottom, though, there isn't,
All right.
but going down, there is. At the
But then
very
you're,
bottom.
and then are you gonna be moving the tractor out of there too, because that's
That's
the other
going,
part
yes.
of,
Everything, yeah.
the pictures show it, you have equipment down in that area, and that's the reason why.
How big is that slope down the driveway?
But when
It's
you
pretty
walk,
steep.
you'll
Yeah.
see that there's
It's
nothing
steep.
done.
Yeah, well,
It's
no, I
just-
know, but
it's
when she
just
took the
sit-
picture, you could see the
The only
caterpillar
thing that
sitting
thing's
down
sitting
at
there
the end
for
of
is
that.
it plows the driveway in the winter.
Yeah.
It's just an extra machine sitting there. Yeah, it's not.
All right.
Okay. So, if you would provide the staff with your contact information, we'll come out and take a look, and we'll let you know, but I think we're well on our way to working it out, okay?
We've been in contact.
Yes,
Donna,
yes,
yeah.
you have our emails,
Yeah,
both of
so
ours, yeah.
I'll,
How about phone numbers?
Donna, I know Donna
sometimes.
has them both.
Okay.
So you won't hear until, the next meeting is the 23rd. So you'll hear after that what they want you to do. And then at that point, you can call me and I'll work with you to produce, but I think it's gonna be some sort of a plan very similar to these, that reinstates what what they're asking you to do. And we can go over it at that point. And then at that point, we'll be coming into a meeting, presenting that to them, and getting that approved, and talking about a timeline to get the work done. All right?
All right. Thank you for coming in, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for working with us.
Yeah, you like how I combine cases there? That's fine.
Anybody else want something?
I'm just spending that much time. Thank you, Laura. Years on this. No, I don't anymore. I don't wanna be jittery, I wanna go to sleep, I'm tired. Been up since 4:30.
Go to P and Z meeting after, you go sleep.
My dog.
Yes,
Are you
they
gonna go?
cannot discuss the merits of
I
it.
was gonna say, I don't think
I
you
had to
can
be
go.
on the
Look
I
at
think
it
the
and
place is
just
fine.
say, yeah, that tree.
Judging by the amount of
Gotcha.
people that's Lifeway, just at the same time that I was driving by, everybody's there. I'm hoping they televise it.
I'm not.
That's what I mean, I'm hoping that they do, because, I mean, everybody's like to see.
No discussion.
Talking about something else, we're talking about sleep.
All right. All right, so, moving right along. to application hearing determinations, right?
No,
What's
I
on
did, she said we moved up those in.
Oh, I missed that one, sorry.
Yep, so IWV 2018.
IWV 2018
05.
dash 05 for Willow Drive.
Is there anybody?
Oh, okay, perfect.
Come on down, sir. Next contestant on the Wetlands Commission.
So to refresh everybody's memory on this, there was unapproved disturbance within a wetland area, placing of fill and debris within the wetlands, unapproved disturbance within a 100-foot upland review area, unapproved placement of construction debris within a 100-foot area. Here is the sketch here that we went over the last meeting, and if you recall, I think probably the picture would be help refresh your memory the most. There was a wall that was knocked down and the fill being put into the yard area over into the regulated area. There's a picture of where the wall came out. This is the disturbed area here that's also the regulated area. So with that, I reviewed this report with the commission in a previous meeting, and they directed me to issue the notice of violation to you. What the notice of violation does is it just asks you to come in, you kind of witness just now what happens. It's informal, it allows for dialogue between you and the commission to just kind of explain what you're up to and what's going on, and then the purpose of this evening is for them to determine what process to go through, if needed, to resolve the issue.
Okay.
All right? So the floor is yours.
You're just your name and address for the record, please, sir, if you don't mind.
My name's Joe Drotar, and the address is 4 Milo Drive. All I was doing is there was a wall, obviously it was falling down, and it was kind of like a dangerous mess, so I just figured I was gonna knock it over. I just literally, you know what I mean, I just wanted my yard to, that was it. I knew there was wetlands back there. Actually, when I bought the house, it never, like on my deed and everything, never said wetlands. I noticed them. I had no intention of going near them. I know that you're not supposed to touch wetlands. So I was just I just wanted to make my backyard level. That was it, you know.
So what we have here is, according to our records, the activity that you got going on does in fact extend into the wetlands. This area here that's shaded in the blue, bluish green, whatever, that is the wetlands, and the pink area is the area that appears to be disturbed. Again, the dashed area here is 100 feet from the wetland, and everything within that area, the whole house, the driveway, literally almost the whole yard, is regulated area. So anytime you do anything new in that area, you know, shed, deck, pool, playground, grading, anything that you do that disturbs the earth requires a permit from the commission. And the purpose of the permit is for them to try to minimize any potential impact to the wetlands.
Right.
And so that's why this is a violation, because you've actually gone in and it looks like, what does he have, disturbance, he doesn't say, in this area back here, I think there's very minimal grading, you've kind of pushed a little bit of the dirt that way, and is that what's happening?
Yeah, it was just, you know, kind of like where the wall was, I just knocked the wall over and just kind of like tried to pull it
What
down.
did you use to do all that?
Skid steer machine.
Okay. Small?
Small, yeah, it was small.
Okay.
But yeah, I just figured, it was like, there was grass where I was doing it, you know what I mean? There was a wall and grass, so I kind of figured it was, you know.
I think that the major concern is where you push some of this stuff is directly into a wetland. And
If you go back to the pictures, I completely avoided them, like, at all costs. Because the wetlands is like, it drops down like 10, 12 feet. That's not at all wet there. If like back there, see how, where that pile of dirt is? Behind that, And that pile of dirt
Yeah,
is
you
just,
understand that it doesn't necessarily have to have standing water in it to be a wetland, though, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
the
that's-
soil type
that's just,
that makes it a wetland.
that was my grass, so I didn't, you know what I mean? I have pictures, like, that was grass, like I was cutting that last summer, you know what I mean?
So,
That's,
yeah, sometimes even a lawn area is wetlands, because what happens is, you just recently bought this, right?
yeah, actually, exactly today, last year.
Okay, so what happens is, sometimes people will clear and expand their yard, the lawn area. And that actually, they do minimal grading or minimal fill in the wetland, they plant grass, and the lawn is actually wetland. Wetlands are classified by soil type, and it's the type of soil that is poorly draining. And they protect wetlands because wetlands, there's several resources that provides. One of them is attenuation. When it rains, they just act like a big sponge and soak up the
Yeah, I
water.
understand, yeah.
There's a lot of other things, food, habitat, and that it also are resources as well as a number of resources. So that is, they're charged with protecting wetlands, and in protecting wetlands, they regulate upland review areas, the area within 100 feet, in order to minimize that impact.
Right.
So what we might have here is, let me just see what the reference maps are, okay, so he's got section number 1, Cross Hill Estates. So I think he probably pulled the wetlands off of that. And then the GIS data. Limited pond and water course. Yeah, I think this was taken off of no, it isn't. It's assumed limit of wetland is, so it's off of our GIS, the best information we have. So, one would say that this is not a real accurate representation. This is probably another one that you guys should walk and take a look at, just so you know what you're dealing with and how to direct him to proceed. If you look at this curved green line, that is the tree line, the edge of lawn. So you can see that what he's saying is, the lawn, according to this plan that we took off of the aerial, this line here was the historical limit of the wooded area, which is just outside the wetlands. And what Conrad put this together, and what he's seeing is that the actual clearing and disturbance goes all the way back to the property line at this point, or actually even a little further. So I don't know what to say other than you might want to walk it and have a look before you decide what if anything, you want him to do.
Where's all the concrete block in this photograph?
Concrete block is in this area, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I believe
Yeah, it's up in
over
the
this
front
area.
corner there, yeah.
What was your ultimate plan to do with it?
Like I said, I just wanted my yard to, because
Yeah,
it
but
was,
with all the concrete block and stuff there, were you just gonna leave it there, were you gonna clear it out, were you gonna bury it?
I was gonna bury the block. I didn't put it there, it was just there. It's block.
Exposed now?
Yeah,
What do you mean it was already there?
it was like I said,
I
the wall
thought that was the wall.
yeah, and I knocked it over and just pushed it over, because
Oh,
I was
okay,
gonna
so
bury it.
you
Okay,
knocked
so
the
it
wall over
wasn't
and then you
there.
pushed it
It
over.
was.
Oh, no, where
in
it
the-
is, where it's sitting right now, no, it's I moved it from
You-
20 feet
you
over.
put it there,
Put it
okay.
over there, because it fell over, it was, a mess, so
There was concrete blocking the wall?
yeah,
It's
like
an
cinder blocks,
Old wall in there.
Guess so.
cinder blocks, yeah.
Some concrete blocking there too.
And was that wall retained, it was a retaining wall?
Yeah.
A very poorly made retaining wall.
So
yeah.
this is one where you
Yeah, we all know those.
you may
Unfortunately.
need a soil scientist to tell you where the wetlands are
Right.
in this case, because we're going by the GIS information, which is fairly accurate, but
How
not.
much, did you put fill in that area?
Maybe a truckload, that's it.
Subsoil?
It just guy from a job that gave me some fill, just rock and roots, and there's one truckload, there's not much there. And then that pile of dirt was just what I was scraping up. I scraped up all the grass and put it in a pile.
But you were planning on bringing more fill in to cover the block?
Just a block, yeah. Which, if that's a problem, I don't want any issues, you know?
Oh, yeah. We
And
don't want any issues either.
I'll take the stuff back out, you know what I mean? I just want it to go as easy. Like I
What-
said, I
What'd you
didn't,
do with the topsoil?
it's just sitting there.
It's in the pile.
Is that
The dirt.
Were there trees there?
No. It was literally exactly how it looks, but with
With
grass.
grass?
Yeah. Like,
is
see
that-
how,
is
see
that the
where those-
topsoil over there? 'Cause it
that
doesn't-
came from the bottom right there. I just
It
scraped that up.
doesn't look like topsoil from here, maybe behind it it is.
And on the left there, that's where the wall was, and I just pulled it over. And I was just gonna go from the top of the hill there and just kind of like, just so I could drive my tractor up and down and cut the grass, you know?
No, but all
That
of
was
the,
all.
all of the soil that was in this area,
That was grass.
where, you just covered over that, right?
No, I scraped it up and put it, that's that pile
That's
there.
what this darker.
Yeah, I
pile
just scraped
behind
up all the grass and pushed it over there.
Wasn't much of a cut then, huh?
No.
Well, I mean, if there were no trees, I mean, Scott, you guys agree that there were no trees there? That all they did was just knock the wall over? I mean, because then,
Yeah,
I
the
mean, my
plan-
feeling is you spread the topsoil back out again, you seed it, and you pick up the block and throw some seed down and
Well, the problem is what, I mean,
if that's all that was done,
If that is actual
Our plan shows again that the
yeah.
limit of disturbance is way back here.
But if that's just because of the block,
So if they were to restore, so the thinking is that this line here was the limit of the lawn.
and now it's,
And now
It's-
the limits of disturbance go back into the wetland.
It's a little skewed. If you go back to the other pictures, I can kind of try to show you.
Well, here's
You can't
the-
really see there.
there's the wall.
So,
Yeah,
so
that's the wall.
here's a good example of, so here's the wall right here.
Yep.
This is a picture before obviously before the disturbance. So the wall is this line right here.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this picture shows that
See, that's,
behind the wall, this was not a lawn, it may have
It-
been cleared a little.
if you, I don't have any pictures. I have one on my phone I could maybe show you, but see, if you follow the rock wall around the cemetery.
There's a mouse there if you want to point and make,
Oh.
if it'll make it easier for you, you can point with the mouse.
Yeah, it moved.
There's a mouse.
Yeah, see, this is the rock wall, and all the way to here, this was all grass. All of the same level, all grass. And that pile of dirt we looked at in the other pictures, like right here. So this was all the same level as this, and it was all
When
grass.
you bought it.
When I bought it, yeah. And it's still the same, I didn't dig anything down, it's just, like I said, the picture,
So did you take any trees down?
no. Well, there was 2 that fell down in the storm, but that was it.
Because it looks,
I didn't take them
it
down.
looks pretty wooded there.
There's like
That
I
might
said,
be the
there's-
angle of the picture though.
Right,
Could be,
yeah.
could be.
That could be one tree on the edge of that.
Well,
Right.
It
again,
almost looks like a
this
park,
is,
a parking place. or
this is
something.
our 85 image map, from our image map.
Where's that rock wall that he was just pointing to?
The
In
rock
this
wall is
picture?
over here,
Over there.
along his property line.
Yeah, basically, it goes to property.
See, and then this wall that he knocked over is right here.
We probably gotta go.
That's why.
So I'm guessing that the lawn originally went to this wall, and then all this area back here, probably over the years, just kept getting thinned more and more. It's probably my guess.
Okay.
And people have a tendency to thin out the woods, you know.
What was the grade difference between behind the wall and on the other side of the wall?
It's probably between 2 and 3 feet.
Because I'm guessing that the wall was originally put in with the subdivision, or when the house was originally built, as a limit of disturbance,
Well,
to keep
there's-
people from going in near
Well,
the
there's
wetlands.
built-in stairs into the wall that actually I can't even get out because they're so heavy.
Hmm.
So it was like a nice patio at one point, I'm sure, or something. You should see the footer in the ground, it's enormous, I don't know. They built like a really good footer and they did a really bad wall, I guess, I don't know what they did. But it was definitely like, I don't know what it was, but it was ugly.
So,
It's still there.
I mean, when I look at this, it
The
looks-
stairs are still there, yeah. You can see in one of the pictures if you scroll down. Or I
you know,
can do it
the
if you
big
want.
issue is, what's the impact of the wetland?
Right.
And you know, obviously an inspection will help, but I think without really a soil scientist is what you need to tell you what the impact was to the well. It's the only way you're gonna find out.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no wetlands there, then
There's no issue.
different course of action, right?
Well,
There's no issue.
I'm pretty confident this wetland is there. It's just a matter of what condition is this area, you know?
Yeah, but
like,
if he's telling the truth, that he didn't cut any trees down, didn't do any filling in there, just
Well, he's
not-
only owned the house for a year, as of today,
Right,
you know what I mean? So
Well-
those trees could have been, that
Could
area
have been knocked down by a previous owner, I agree.
and I see, and
But a
this,
year ago, we were doing our homework back then, weren't
and
we?
I see that in this photo,
I wasn't.
Yeah, see the property
that's,
line,
that's
the
a
rock
big,
wall?
so that's all been disturbed,
I was
and
here, I didn't know any homework.
the question is, where's the wetland?
But see-
Where's the where does it end?
Right.
You know, that's,
Can I add one piece to that? That might help you guys. See, it gets dark, like the back,
Yeah. Mhm.
this like right here. That drops off like 10 feet, and then there is wetlands down there. But it's a, no joke, like a 10-foot, and I don't think somebody added fill or soil there or anything, because it grades off. If you go this way, it's like a real smooth transition. It's just kind of the natural whatever. But this is all like well above where it's wet. You know, like it drops pretty steep off back there. So that's why, like all up here, it's not wet at all. When it rains, it doesn't gather, it doesn't stay wet, it doesn't.
There's the
Grass, like I
stairs.
said.
Oh, I see the
yeah.
stairs, right?
And that cut is still there where the
I think
wall
we should
was,
probably
or
look
just
at
smooth
some
that
image
out?
of it as
What
well.
was the question?
Where the wall was, it looks like there's a drop, right? Is that still like that, or?
This right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't touched it.
so
Since there's a
there's,
little.
there's the stairs you're talking about.
Yes, correct.
All right, so I think that we should probably take a look, if you don't mind.
Yeah, whatever.
If we can grab your contact information with the office, and a couple of us will come out and take a look at it, so we can get a real accurate picture. It's hard to tell what we should be looking at here, and then we'll take it from there.
All right.
Okay.
23rd. So we'll get in touch with you after that. You don't have to be here at that. We'll get in touch with you and then we'll tell you what they're looking for.
Okay.
Say your name, is your name Dratar?
Drotar.
Drotar.
Yeah.
Thanks. We appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is 144 Meadow End Road. And we have the property owner come on up. I'll tell you that this one's a little different in that you have not previously seen this one. Because what's happened is, this is about a, where is this one? There we go. Everybody has to help me because I can't see it. All right, so this one came about as a result of a sale of the property. And the property, the buyer and the buyer's representatives came into our office and got this thing rolling. And actually, we had a meeting in the office, and we, how do you say your last name?
Fothi.
Fothi,
Yes.
with Mr. Fothi and his wife. Well, we met with them, and what we did was, we discussed this, and they're very eager to sell their property. They have, as I said, they have a buyer and things look good. So he wanted to get in here as soon as possible and get going with it. We discussed, and I'm gonna go over that in a minute, some of the improvements that I had predicted. But some of it involves some of your judgment that or input that I think he's gonna need. And so what I did was, I just went ahead and I issued the notice of violation so that we can just get things started. So you probably didn't get it yet, it's in the mail.
Well, not through certified mail yet, but
Yeah, it's.
I got it through the email.
Oh, yeah,
so
we
I-
emailed it,
Yeah,
that's
I
right,
made
yeah.
copies for everybody.
Yep, okay.
Oh, they have it.
Oh,
They
okay.
have
It's
a
okay,
copy
thank
of
you
it.
so much.
Yeah, so he's here to talk to you about that. Let me just, before you do that, let me just show him the sketch, because this is the first they're seeing it. All right, so we've got, here's the house. As it turns out, we kind of simplified the drawing. We had, originally the drawing showed the limits of the proposed house, which was different than this. It turned out, I don't know how that happened, but the house was built in a different location than the originally proposed one. It was tweaked a bit, kind of turned. But what we did was, the overall limits of approved development, which is this green dash line here. And the limits of the wetland is this shaded blue line, all right? And the limit of the 100-foot upland review area is this dash line right here. And they went, when the house was built, they got an approval, so there's an approval in place. And just over the years, the yard area was expanded and into this magenta colored area. Now, when we met, they were, as I said, they were eager to resolve this, and we had discussed the fact that there's a shed over here that he could get a agent approval for, because it's really within area that had originally been available and outside the undisturbed area, that we could process that as an agent approval. And then this area here and this magenta area here and a little bit of this kind of up to here is all area that is currently lawn, that he is in agreement that never filled it, just kind of tilled it and planted grass, and that could be reverted back to wetlands by just putting the markers in and possibly looking at some plantings if you want that. The question here is that in this area here, this area has been manicured. There is a armoring of the brook here that took place with some stones placed along the edge of the brook. And then from this point out to the driveway, they filled it in with mulch and some ornamental type landscaping. So although I was pretty clear on the pathway here that you most likely would want, the question came up, like, are you gonna want, and this wetland here obviously has been filled with mulch and plantings. And I'm gonna get these bigger.
You have to get, yeah.
So,
That picture you're talking about is further down.
yeah,
Keep going. That's what Denise took right there.
okay. Yeah, let me see if I can get this to move.
Yep,
Just grab the barn and pull it over.
yeah.
All right, so you can see the armor, a little bit of it is even a wall, and then there's,
That was it.
that was it. I think there was, there was a different picture that I recall.
Now, yeah, you're in the backyard now.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right, so
I thought I had another.
she might not have added it.
Yeah, I don't think I should have gone over this with her more, because there was a good shot that showed it a little bit better. But anyway, this is the type of, there's the mulch, and so the wetland, I guess, cut across here. And so the question is, how much of this, if any, do you want them do you want them to restore? Go back up to the plan. It's,
Dizzy.
it is,
Yeah, you gotta stop doing that.
sorry, it's this area right here, that between, here's the
That's the major
arbor.
issue, is what you're saying, everything
Yeah,
else is
this
kinda.
is the area in this, that's
Alright.
been filled with mulch and regular, ornamental style plantings. I don't know if you know what's in there. I thought I saw mountain laurel,
Yeah, but that's not.
Well, they're like a holly, a few azalea,
Yeah,
nothing exotic. There is a weeping cherry, there is a cherry plum.
yeah, stuff like that.
Right.
That's, and so, I didn't know what to tell them about that. The goal was, we were going to come up with a plan of remediation, and they're in such need to move quickly with this, they were gonna put together something and actually have a remediation plan for you tonight so they can move forward. But they couldn't really do that because we needed to talk to you about it and get your input first.
There's a closing date on the property?
Yeah, well, the projected closing date is June 14th, okay? And I've already spoken to Dave Bjorklund, and I spoke to him, I think, Tuesday. He got back to me on Tuesday. So that just didn't give us enough time. And he even suggested just what Scott's saying, that come here, listen to what the commission has to say. And I can tell you, if I may, I use the mouse or?
Yeah,
Sure.
the mouse.
Either
Okay.
one.
Let me get first, because Scott spent time on that, this area, because Denise was saying, first she thought it was filled, and then she looked back here, and she said, oh, I see, this elevation is the same. So all of this is the same. Okay, and then if I may, I know this is tough just on the eyes to do that, but this part, you can see the different colored grass here. So if the wetland line runs maybe about there, what my wife Linda and myself, when we had our meeting, and then when I met Denise out here first with and we met with Conrad and Scott, was we had done nothing. What had happened was, when the house was built, all the trees were cleared. So you were facing like an easterly, northeasterly direction. So when all the trees were clear, across is south, southwest, it dried it all out. Then, as Scott has said, we did this, let me go back up to the top. Yeah, here we are. So if you take a look, the driveway originally was supposed to cut through here, but that's extremely steep. And the suggestion was made, can we put the driveway in the garage over here? And the permit, I guess, or however it worked back in 91, 92, and the same thing. All these trees got cut down here, here, and this all dried out. Okay, so now let me go to some other pictures that Denise took. Here's the back. You can see some of that. That is near the driveway. The driveway would be way over here, but you can see how everything else is there. The stream was never touched. Now we're starting to work our way counterclockwise around the property. And again, you can see what's there. This is the very right side of the property, where you saw one of those blue lines. There's a stream that actually dries up during a hot August. And lastly, here we are. So this rock is somewheres over here, okay? And like I said, this all dried out, but in fact, if you walk back there, a guy my weight, I'll sink. So a lot of times this grass doesn't even get mowed until sometimes mid-July.
Yeah, that's what tipped us off, that, you know, this is classic where the, as opposed to being filled, they plant the lawn in the wetland, and it's green, but it's really wet, and they can't mow it till the summertime, middle of the summer or so. It's
Right, and
classic.
there was a lot of migration as well, just natural migration because of the sun. As far as remediation, I mean, I'm all for it, to put in those posts, those signs. I mean, you tell me where to put them, and they're up. That's not a problem. I'll get that done right
Well, I
away.
think we should have them put a few trees back in there.
I think so.
And then as far as the mulch I mean, if you didn't fill, the mulch is gonna degrade and disappear.
Just let it go back to natural.
And the plantings,
That's fine.
Didn't seem
Yeah.
like you said anything that was just evil in there, so I wouldn't worry about that so much.
I
So-
can, I'm
But,
So
I
sorry.
let's
mean,
go
I,
to-
I don't know about the rocks along where did the rocks come from? Where the area was planted? They just took the
Yeah,
rocks
there
out
was
of the
just-
planting areas, just put
That
them
was
on?
one rocky, yeah, we just used what we had. It's just tons of rocks that got dug out,
So,
because when the pool got dug too,
The
right?
pool was permitted?
Oh, yeah, yes.
yeah, and it goes right up to the wetland. What we had talked about was leaving 6 to 8 feet behind the fence here so that they can get their mower back across to the backyard. And so we had talked about putting in the markers right along the wetland here. And then right up along this area here, right where just off of the wetland, where this dashed green line is. The driveway kind of encroaches a little bit, so we'd be hugging more of the wetland line coming up here with the markers. And then the question is that real manicured garden area where they put the mulch in, do you want the markers to go right through the middle of it? Or do you want to kind of end the markers there and put them along the armored street?
I would think it should just be on the line.
On the line?
I would
And
think
then, so your goal would be everything beyond the markers then, that manicured area would end where the markers are? Now, I don't know if you want to, now I realize you're selling it, so it might be more of a preference by the buyer, but I'll just say, if it were me, I would rather have, especially like in an area like that, I would rather have like a post and rail fence or something, or at least or sections of it I think that would look, of course, they could always do that after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they could always come in and do that on their own, so. All right, so, you're telling me that in the interest of time and what's going on, you guys are okay with advising without looking at this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to see something a little bit more substantial across the wet meadow than just
Well, that was
the
my
markers.
next question. So-
Because it still looks like a lawn, people are still gonna wanna mow it, and it is wetland, so it really shouldn't be mown, it shouldn't be used as yard.
Well, I could, not to interrupt you, but I can tell
That's
you,
fine.
if those markers go up, and if it's left, that stuff just comes right through. It's
I'd
there.
like to see some trees put in there, just to try to reestablish it as a wetland. I know you can get wetland mixed seeds that will create wetland plants, but a more substantial barrier, an actual barrier, physical, visual, other than just the markers, I would prefer to see, just because it's too tempting otherwise.
One more time, ma'am, I didn't
It's
wear my
just-
hearing aids.
I understand. It's just too tempting otherwise, if you don't have a physical barrier
Right,
for the future homeowner to.
so would you be talking,
continue.
I know them as swamp birch, because there was a couple swamp birch.
You can talk to the man down there, he knows his plants.
He's
He's
our
our
well.
landscape expert.
He's our professional.
Yeah, because, but when it dried out, they went with it. So that's why planting of the trees because of that amount of sun, that southwestern exposure. I understand what you're saying, but it might be for naught.
How
If you
about red
would,
maples?
Yeah,
If-
maybe
Swamp
some,
The sun
maples,
should help.
or maybe
because
some different height,
swamp maples or red maples, they live in swamps.
correct, and that's what I'm saying. Because of the
When they dry
southwestern
out.
exposure, it really dries out. It can really dry
So
out back
although it's a
there.
wetland, you're saying in the summer,
It's so
it
dry.
gets very dry.
It does.
But
And that's what I was,
there are plantings
I
that
think
could
they'd be
withstand.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
because they can live in uplands also.
Yeah,
So,
maybe some hemlock.
Now, do you guys want something right along the edge in addition to the markers? Because I know that a lot of times you look for either fencing, markers, hedge, boulders, stone walls, you know, that usually there's a choice of a lot of that stuff.
mhm.
I don't know if you have any boulders available to you, rocks or.
no, not not
Yeah, you'd have to
anymore.
go into where the brook is, and
How
you don't want
much-
to disturb
How
that.
much stone did you use in the armoring of the edge of the stream?
I don't-
Would there be enough for a small wall back there if you were to take those rocks down? And would you be able to use
I
them
don't
as a
think that,
wall?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that would be, there may not be enough, I'm not sure, okay?
Yeah, because there is,
I'm all for the idea of the swamp. I got it written down, swamp maples, swamp birch. Gentleman said something about hemlock.
What's the distance of clear open lawn that's?
I'm sorry, sir.
What's the distance, like, what's the length of where the posts would be across this open lawn area? 100 feet, 50 feet?
What do you mean, the distance between the posts?
No, what's the whole distance
No,
across
I
the
believe
lawn?
the gentleman's
Oh,
talking
across
about,
it.
I guess, going from here this way, that way.
Yeah, it's considerable distance.
Yeah, well, how far apart are these posts to be? That's another question.
Well, if you want to get a scale, look at the cars. The cars are, what, 17 feet long?
Well, didn't you say,
So-
isn't this 1 inch equals 50?
I don't
No.
think
Or there
that's,
was, on one of those photographs, I guess,
may not be this.
maybe not this one.
Yeah, let's see, I'm gonna try
Oh,
it.
okay.
It's the whole back of the lawn.
Yeah, 1 inch
Yeah,
equals
1 is
40,
40.
The whole back of the
but
house.
it's not gonna,
Enormous.
well, there's the scale, okay, so that's 40 feet. So that distance, purple distance right there is about 40 feet.
okay.
Well, I think the gentleman was talking about going along the blue line.
Well, no, I realize
Yeah.
that, so you're talking, 40, maybe 100, 200, almost 300 feet.
And how far are the posts to,
Maybe
Typically,
30,
the
40
posts
feet
are-
apart? The posts?
What is our we have a county standard.
A lot of times you put them 75 feet,
50 feet.
or it
75
changes.
feet, I wouldn't even be able to see another
No,
post 75
50
feet away.
feet.
Yeah, okay, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Certainly at changes of alignment, angle points or changes of alignment, you've had them a lot closer. I mean, it depends upon, you've had people where they put boulders and you want the boulders 3 feet apart. you know?
Right, mm-hmm.
It's a big span.
That would be difficult to pull off, the boulders.
I think we should, we are agreeing on our markers and
And trees.
planting, right? Yeah, how many trees?
Good question. Should be enough to actually, were you talking about soldiering them so that they actually look like a barrier, Ross? Or were you
think more
talking about
natural,
filling them in?
I kind of thought you would want to stagger, just for that, stagger them.
Mix them in.
Because as soon as you get that barrier look, you lost the natural beauty of the environment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a tough one.
What's the scale of this drawing?
1 inch is 40.
What about sections of like a
So,
post and
okay,
rail?
I mean, at 1 inch,
Just
that
putting
doesn't
in
work.
a
That
couple of
doesn't work.
sections
That doesn't work for
to-
me right
to-
here.
If you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand, but isn't that again setting up a definitive demarcation?
They want a definitive
Yeah, we would like a,
demarcation.
we
But I-
want it to look natural beyond the fence, but we want to determine.
Right.
We want someone to be able to look at that
there's a
thing and be
line.
like, I
Exactly.
probably can't go back
Can't
there.
cross the
Yeah,
line.
this is
Well,
the edge
if-
of my wall, this is the edge of my
I could
wall.
plant those 4x4s even closer, every 25 feet.
Yeah, I would say,
That might do it.
just to throw something out, I would say every 25 feet, and then a tree every every 25 feet in basically every direction. So if you've got 25 feet, you stick a tree in it. So it looks to me like you're 40 or 50 feet deep in one spot, so you put 2 trees in there.
Okay, so just so I have this upstairs, not only are you talking linearly, you're talking in depth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you fill that area, all the purple area in with
trees.
different kinds of trees.
So 25 feet this way, 25 feet that way.
Yeah, but
So I'm
mixed
making
up
a-
a little bit,
oh,
that's, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But that gives you an idea.
Yeah,
Is that enough?
it's probably 20.
Okay, I got it.
Wall, right?
So,
Yeah.
So you want the markers every, how many feet?
And then
25 feet.
wetland
Every
seed,
25?
Yeah, and then throw down some,
then seed the rest
wetland
of the
Then you
wetland
want-
mix.
I have that
And then
wetland
you-
mix seed.
Wetland mix seed.
Do the trees as we discussed, and then throw down the wetland seed mix. and-
Okay, and
Post
post art would be
The
25 feet
The trees are
apart.
spaced in a grid of, I'm gonna say a grid, but not an
Yeah,
official.
you're right, not a true
yeah,
matrix,
every
right?
600 square feet gets a tree.
Maybe hemlock and red maple, of different sizes?
Okay, so I got that. Now, these posts, they're 4x?
4x4.
Okay,
They're
4x4
4x4.
pressure
I
tree.
forget the full length, but they stick in.
We actually have a
We have,
schematic.
we have
Yeah.
the detail on our website.
Okay, all right, so C,
trying to
web,
think what else goes
site.
well in,
And you may want to,
spice bush?
let me
Yeah.
just say this, if he discusses this with the buyer, and the buyer wants to put a fence in lieu of.
Great, we
If
love
he
it.
Then
wants
you're
fence,
okay
that's
with that,
fine.
right?
As long as, yeah,
Because
as long
quite
as it
frankly,
stops.
We'd still
I
like
think
some
we should
trees.
ask the buyer,
We
because
still want the
We
trees,
still
though.
want trees in the
you
back.
still want the
You
trees,
want trees.
because
You want the posts.
a fence.
And the
is-
posts.
a
They
fence-
change out the post for a
fence
split rail.
marking that
And then
is
they
gonna
put the,
look
they put
way
the tags
better.
on.
On the,
Then
yeah,
20
instead of, in
every
place of the post, they
25
put
feet, one of
the
those
upright of the
posts,
fence, they
that's
put
gonna,
the
that's not
marker.
gonna, you know, I
Right?
would want
Yeah.
that in
Same
my,
thing.
every
Yeah.
25 feet of post with a sign.
Well, I'll
I'd
let
rather have a
my
fence.
lawyer talk to his
Yeah,
lawyer.
yeah.
Work that
And
out.
I just wanted to get their input
Understood.
so that if you wanna vary, we can.
Right, okay.
And what about the manicured area up by the driveway? That's the other one that is,
The mulch is gonna just.
But we're gonna,
disappear
that
anyway.
whole,
Yeah.
that's still
Stop
hilarious, so
mulching,
that-
stop mulching that area.
Well, then
Let the plants
the
grow.
barrier and the plantings are gonna go right in there, so
oh, the
that,
barrier's gonna continue
all the
up
way
there.
through the
Okay.
whole purple
All right.
area there, right?
Mhm. I guess it should.
So whatever, whether that's the post or the fence or whatever they decide, and then
Yeah,
the
so we'll go
plantings.
right through the middle of that, that'll be the limit, and
Done.
everything beyond that.
Just throw your seed mix
just
in
like
there
the-
too.
The trees,
Perfect.
maybe 2.5, 3-inch caliber.
Not in the
trees.
stream, obviously.
Sorry, 2.5 to 3-inch caliber trees.
Okay, 2.5 to 3 caliber.
Big tree. Anything small is gonna look like,
He's gonna sink in there.
you can move them with a ball cart.
Okay, so I got a good idea. You have any questions?
No, I'm set.
I think we got everything we need. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up with some type of a plan, not unlike this, but we'll add the stuff to this. So we're gonna have to get together, so give me a call.
So what size trees? I mean, there's all kinds of different sizes of trees.
Well, the gentleman said 2.5 to 3-inch caliber.
I missed that
Say it
part.
again,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want
she just said
2.5?
2.5 to
2.5 to
3-inch caliber.
3-inch caliper.
Up against each other.
Right, and you want the caliper measured at the 6-inch or breast height?
Usually it's what, 2 feet off the ground or something?
It's usually 6 inches or breast, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it
Because if you
does.
ask
You don't
for
want them too big, right?
if you ask for it at breast height, they're gigantic.
Mm,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
All right, so let's go short.
10 to 6 inches.
Let them grow with the buyers.
Okay, and you'll just kind of leave it up.
it's up to you.
Maybe a suggestion on the trees, what did you say again? Red maple?
Hemlock and red
Hemlock.
maple.
well, I have written down as swamp maple, swamp birch, hemlock. That's what it was
Well, you don't
suggested.
want hemlocks,
Is that,
right?
I have hemlocks in my wetlands.
They're deer resistant now?
Deer never ate
Oh,
hemlock.
not
Yeah,
the deer, the,
Adelgid.
Yeah,
Oh, it's an issue.
mine all died in my yard.
How about spice bush?
What is it, Belgian?
Yeah, the woolly, yeah, you don't
You don't want to, because of the
The little
woolly?
fuzzy
Okay.
woolly
It's a
critter
little,
that eats them,
it's a little
kills them.
parasite that eats them up.
You're thinking maybe.
But you want
spruce?
some type of evergreen
Maybe
mixed in.
spruce or something?
Yeah, it could be spruce. Spruce is okay.
Lois,
guess
you
that
said
would-
something about spice bush?
Yeah, these are all
Cleffer?
options.
I couldn't hear that.
Spice
Cleffer
bush.
alnifolia?
I'm not familiar.
Hey, can you spell that?
CLETHRAALN.
Well, I'll wait for the report for that one, okay?
Plethora.
All right, I think I got and I'll,
You'll get something in writing.
yeah, so we'll work on getting we gotta get something for the record, obviously, once I get that.
Now, can I start, like tomorrow, can I start on at least the posts?
Um,
Because I'm working from home tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah, why don't you call as well? Well, you gotta find out, you gotta get the markers anyway.
Yeah, I gotta come in and buy the
Yeah, so
things.
come see us or call tomorrow, call first.
Okay,
We'll get this going.
all right, that's fine.
Thank you, sir. Good
All
luck to you.
right, thank you, thank you all.
Sale.
All right, take care all.
Fantastic.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Let the pros handle it.
There we go.
Onward and upward.
I don't know, is there another one getting closed, one of the closed in right now?
Reminds me of the wetlands.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Application hearing determination, right? IWC 2018-06, 45 Pepper Street, Monroe Recycling and Aggregates, applicant Doug Reich, RLA, Solely Engineering, representative construction of enclosed crushing and screening manufacturing facility, storage buildings, open storage bins and associated parking and site development. Monroe Recycling and Aggregates are the applicants.
Okay, so this is a property along Pepper Street. There's an old house on the property, and there's a large yard area that's been disturbed and used over the years for, I think, some non-residential stuff. But right now it's idle, and these people have an option on the property, and they're looking to construct an enclosed crushing and screening manufacturing facility, storage buildings, open storage bins, and associated parking areas, drainage site, utilities, site lighting, and plantings. It's basically going to be a materials processing facility. This is the type of facility that you kind of see outdoors, piles of earth materials where they crush them and screen them, and they make various construction materials from them. What they're doing is, because it's not, that type of operation is not allowed in the zone, they are proposing buildings that they're going to put this process in. They're actually gonna put the crusher and screener inside a building and use a loader to load it into a hopper that then goes into the building, and the mechanical part of it happens inside the building. So there's gonna be various, I guess, open-sided, what amounts to is, I think, almost buildings, full roof, 3 sides, and that's where the material that they're generating and the raw materials that they're using to make the material is going to be stored. In addition, they've got outside equipment, it's like a construction yard, only it's different, theoretically a little different use. It is on a property, the overall project site is 5.94 acres. There are 1.07 acres of wetlands on the property. There's 4.9 acres of upland review area on the property. They are not proposing any direct wetland impact, although their level spreader discharge from the underground stormwater retention and detention system will be like 5 or 6 feet away from the Upland review areas to be altered are 2.6 acres. Total regulated area to be altered is 2.6 acres. They are, they actually, I haven't really had a chance to look this over, but their application indicates that although they don't have any direct wetland impact, they do have two different alternatives that they are proposing or showing you as part of their submission data. And that's it.
Okay, I move that we go to a public hearing, public interest and potential to impact the wetlands.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Stewart and a second by Commissioner Spence. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
That was very efficient.
No public, move to. Just wanna see what's going on.
Yeah.
That was it.
I was just about to ask if you want that. All right. We will move on to our deliberation session. Deliberation completed in this hearing. IWC 2014-07A2, 50 Cambridge Drive, Axle Plastics, amendment to previous approval, review of fenced in outside storage area. I think we composed our letter, Scott, correct?
Yes, so I provided everybody with a draft. It's 3 pages long. It lists the application and all that. It lists the submission data on the first sheet. Second sheet lists the 2 reasons for your approval, that the submitted application materials are consistent with the requirements set forth by the current regulations, and the applicant presented uncontradicted expert evidence, et cetera, That it then lists section which is items that need to be addressed within 270 days, and that being that they resubmit or they submit a revised drawings indicating including the addition of notation indicating that all materials to be placed within the fenced-in storage area shall be new, empty, if containers clean, non-used, recycled, or previously filled or utilized, non-water soluble, and non-erosive. No storage of liquids or chemicals is allowed. And then your standard comments for filing on the land records, the approval letter, and conditions to be addressed prior to issuance of the permit are listed on page 3. Those are all standard with the exception of the indication of a $2,500 bond. And the rest are standard comments for this type of approval. About recording the original copy of the amendment on the land records. Effective when it's deemed effective, prior to any site work, having the pre-construction meeting, and the fact that all prior conditions of the requirement remain in force. I might add that you asked me to insert some strong language, and I put it at the end here. It's in bold and underlined, and
Italics?
no. Do you want me to read it, or are you guys all, are you okay with it?
No,
We're okay with it.
I was okay with it when I read it.
It was good, I read it.
I would like another frowny face emoji.
Hey, Ross, careful, you're hitting the microphone.
Oh.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve as drafted.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Spence, a second by Commissioner Greengrass. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? What am I supposed to say? Something else? Any abstentions? None. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, no bond release reduction reports, no time extensions. Moving right along to our inland wetland agent activities report.
Okay, so we have few agent approvals. Denise has been busy, she's plugging right along, so.
Okay.
We have 72 Church Street, replace, what they did is they got an approval to connect 2 decks at their house. I might add that you're going to probably get some information on this, because as a separate issue, they have encroached into the wetlands and the conservation easement area on their property, although it involves some activity that was approved by the town through our administrative process, which is always difficult because we do have an administrative process for some building type things for residential that depends on approximate information or information that the applicant gives us. So when they give us inaccurate information, sometimes they might get an approval when they shouldn't have gotten one. I've given this to the town attorney, and I'm waiting for his review and comment on exactly what we can pursue on that. So I'll let you know how that progresses. Next one, 147 Elm Street, replacing existing shed in an upland review area, was issued. Next one, 12 Applegate Lane, installed generator in an upland review area. And these are within, their previously disturbed and developed area, essentially their quote yard. And the next one is 265 Turkey Roost Road, and that's permit an existing shed. As you know, we get a lot that come in for things that are already existing and they're trying to sell or refinance or whatever, and they need permits. So those are the 4 agent approvals that were issued. Permitted uses as of right. Public Works Department has reported that 12 Wood Creek, which is an open space area, we have the Ed Risco, the animal control officer in the police department, is trying to manage some beaver damage. There's a dam, and the dam is causing some flooding that's extending into a few of the yards and starting to affect their septic systems. So he is proposing to go out and put in the usual standpipe, whatever you call it, piping that's in, goes through
Beaver
the dam.
mitigation.
He puts a couple of pipes through the dam that, and then uses one at a time, because when the beaver's busy plugging it up, he's opening up another one. You gotta stay a step ahead of him. So, I don't know if you're interested, but the map of that, what did I say, Wood Creek, so tell me where you see that. Do you see that anywhere?
Beaver Dam activity, go down 2 spaces, right there.
Under B.
I can see from a better
No,
angle.
I think this is something.
Oh, that's not the pictures? Oh, there.
There it is. Where are we?
Wood
Oh, it
Creek.
is.
You don't have the
So-
pictures of the beaver?
So you got Wood Creek, Wood Creek Drive, and then you've got.
What's it off of?
I
What's
was
that
afraid
main
you'd
road
ask
there?
me.
Elm Street.
Oh, that's off
That's
of
Elm.
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 Yeah, the jail uniform,
Where the heck is it? I'm trying
stripes.
What part of Elm, though? Or,
So it's off of Elm Street, and.
Right at the corner of Elm and Wood Creek, though.
yeah, but that doesn't, I'm trying to figure where on Elm. Elm is a pretty long street.
Far Mill Road.
Farm Mill Road.
It's gotta be down there like Purdy Hill comes into it.
Monroe Turnpike is right over there.
Okay, so,
Okay, it's,
the
See where we
dam
are?
is, oh, there's the Monroe Turnpike, okay.
no.
The dam is way in the back.
All right,
oh, I see what this is, yeah, so this is the shopping center off of Monroe Turnpike's right over here.
Oh, okay.
And then, so this is behind the
in
river,
between.
the river coming through there. So what's happening
Yeah,
is,
the X is the beaver.
this is where it's located, and so he wants to go in, I think it was, 14 Wood Creek, I don't, do you see 14?
Right there.
It's
Yeah,
right up
right
from where your
above it.
cursor is, the next
14.
lot up.
Yeah, these people are having some I guess this is backing up into here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And they have problems with their septic system.
Yeah.
And so Ed is going in, he wants to put the pipe in and do the work in here.
Hmm.
They have approached us and they wanted the town to go in and clear this, not clear, but I don't know what that is. I'm messing up the thing. They want us to go in and clear out some of the dead wood and all that. We said, you know, we don't do that on open space areas. And, so
The deadwood
really
in
our-
open space areas?
Why did they
Why
want
would
us
they
to
want
clear
you to
that
do that?
out? Just because they
Because-
didn't like the way it looks?
and there's a considerable amount of dead wood.
The beavers using it?
falling in there.
No,
The
they make
beavers
their
don't
own.
use the
No,
dead wood,
they
they cut.
like
They
their
like
own.
the live wood?
Yeah.
Yeah, better on their teeth. Keeps them fresh.
Oh.
So anyway, he's going in, he's doing his thing there, so that's being reported as a permitted use as of right through the Public Works Department. You okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay, so that's that one. Then we've got three
License to
more.
kill the
We've got 248,
Pepper Street.
Well, do we need motions on
No, not a permitted uses are right, I don't think. Don't we just need
Yeah.
consensus?
no, this is just the Public Works Department
this?
reporting.
Oh, for that one, but the rest of them we do though.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay.
we didn't get to that.
All right.
So the next one is 248 Pepper Street. That's removal of trees, dead trees and storm damage. 248 Pepper, do we see that somewhere? 248 Pepper,
I don't know that these are on there.
they should be. I think she said, I asked her to put them on.
No,
They're not?
No, it's not on there.
okay.
How about 11 Holly?
No, I don't see that one either. Or 133 Cutler's.
Do I have the right? Yeah. Okay, I thought I had, maybe I haven't messed up. I thought I had talked.
Holly Place?
Holly
No,
Lane.
Holly
Holly
Lane,
Lane.
not Holly Place.
Oh.
Holly Place was a different thing.
It could be under a different heading, let's see, like permitted.
Permitted
use.
uses as of right
Right, where do you
is the
see that?
second
There it
folder
is.
up.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I
Yes,
knew
there
she
they
would do
are.
that.
Yeah.
248,
Yeah, she's good.
yeah, she didn't forget.
You opened it.
Yeah, what, oh, because I opened it twice.
Yeah.
Why does it do that?
I don't know.
See what I'm saying?
Why don't you know the answer to
It's
that?
the preview
Right,
point.
Don?
Yeah,
It's just a
your
preview.
preview.
It's a
Just
preview
double
change.
click.
Double click it.
Okay.
Turn it off up above if you want.
Okay.
All right, so I'm trying to figure out what this is, I haven't looked at it yet. So,
Trees to be removed.
trees to be removed, 1. 3-tree group is, okay, so I gotta make.
It's right there in the middle.
Yeah, number 3 there.
Yep.
Now you
One.
can see your notes.
All right, so there's where the trees are. You got 1, you got the group of 3 trees, and then
Ash
An
tree.
ash tree.
the ash tree there. Now, that is in the backyard. You can see the front here comes out to the street over here. Okay, so that's basically what they're asking for. She sees no problem with that it's not clearing and that she's suggesting that it be
Why are they being removed?
dead trees and storm damage.
There's
So
been
the-
a lot of stuff.
So let's see
I
if
should understand the storm damage. Dead trees, actually, they're good to keep. Unless they're
They
threatened.
probably don't want them falling on their house or something.
Well, I can understand that.
I don't know what this is. I gotta go over these before I. Oh, okay.
So you need a motion?
Permission to remove trees.
But because it's on the line, that's why. It's
Okay,
on-
sorry.
That's the butter.
Kill me.
All right, calm down.
Do you need a motion
I'll
for
calm
that?
down.
You
Yeah,
have to make a
so
ruling.
what we need is
A
you to
jurisdictional ruling.
Oh, yes, make that, how do we make that ruling? It's been a long
Let me
time.
see, I move that we consider this a permitted use as of right. Right?
Second.
Does that sound good?
A motion by Commissioner Spence, second by Commissioner Stewart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, next one is 11 Hawley Lane.
Same deal, wants to remove some storm damaged trees, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
11 Holly Lane.
I don't understand
It
this.
was on the same,
I wouldn't even think to ask.
But I can't
Well,
see.
people
Up,
are,
up,
which is
up.
good.
Select that one
It's
right there.
good that
Click
they
it,
are
double
now.
click it.
I think she's doing this deliberately.
wow.
All right,
Okay,
so
sideways.
let's see, do we have a?
Rotate clockwise, next one down. There you
There you
go.
go, okay. Yep, so here's the three trees here, you got Holly Lane over here.
Where's the
Majority wet.
wetlands?
If they're proposing the
There are
markers
three
there.
damaged trees, so we thought it was sporadic enough and farther out into this area where it would be allowed.
Okay, motion that we consider it as of right.
I have a motion by Commissioner
I'll
Stewart,
second.
and a second by Commissioner Spence. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Carries unanimously.
It's not the same
And then the last one is
Next one up.
133 Cutlers. And.
Another tree damaged property.
Installation of wetland markers and removal of trees. Scroll down, Scott, if you wouldn't mind. That was fast. I think the next one down had notes on it.
Tree, possibly down, works for.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Dilapidated treehouse.
So what we, and she's got it, okay, so you can see that
Oh, okay.
they're kind of damaged, they're half
Half
split.
down
Oh,
one
no,
way.
yeah.
What we tell people, by the way, we put right on the form, is that they can do the work if you make the jurisdictional ruling, and that they have to remove it by hand equipment only, no trucks or heavy equipment.
Okay, motion as of right.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stewart,
Second.
second by Commissioner Spence. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries unanimously.
So I'm gonna put, how much does one of these cost? Does it cost anything?
Jurisdictional.
It
No.
costs, it costs $60
Oh,
for
to the
the,
state.
yeah.
Other towns do charge for permitted
Do we
uses,
don't
right?
charge for permitted uses, right?
No, just
No,
the
but other
state.
towns do. I just
Yeah,
happened- But just
we-
as an aside, because that.
We haven't done that because I'm trying to promote.
Yeah, we're trying to get people in here to do
Yeah,
it, which is
because, and
good.
I tell, look, it's only a registration form, it helps you, it helps
Right.
us. That's, you start telling me that they gotta pay like $100 for it, it's like,
Not happening.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
we done?
Okay, enforcement deliberations on completed and completed remediation submissions, there are none. Administrative review, we already did.
Well,
We
there's
have-
two under
We have
administrative.
two discussions, IWC 2017-12, 265 Turkey Rouge Road. Flynn is requesting to change of
Do you have
tree
a letter?
species from this
Where is this?
No.
You don't have a letter for that?
last page. Right under the highlighted.
I didn't put it on.
So 265 Turkey Rouge Road, the Flynn's would like to change the tree species.
Okay.
Do we know what he wants to change?
Yeah. To what tree species you know?
I thought I sent you an email.
All of them too invisible.
I didn't see an email, but I brought the folder. If that helps
If
ring
you
the
don't
bell.
remember getting an email?
I don't, but you'll probably prove me wrong tomorrow. Could be.
Boy.
It was a substitution of trees.
Yeah.
Do you want me to run down?
I kinda have to be able to tell them.
Okay.
Okay, so while I guess we're looking for further information on that,
Hopefully I did send that to you and you have it in your,
should we
Right.
consider
Thanks, Donna, sorry about
moving
that.
to IWC 2016?
All right, next one is 15 Owl Hill Road, Caruba.
Oh, no.
And the reason I put that on the agenda is because we realized that you guys approved that at the last meeting, but you
Right.
didn't provide me with a deadline.
Oh.
So we
I think
changed the
they
trees.
passed their original deadline.
Oh,
So 30 days.
Allowed changing the plan to different plantings, which was very difficult to get through, remember? And I actually spoke with him today, and I'm still waiting for the plan to come in. He's supposed to bring in a plan showing clarification of exactly where they are. And he said, can I move these around as long as they're, they don't have to be right? I said, well, my understanding was that you were pretty much putting all the plantings where the other plantings were. You were just changing what they were.
Just swapping them out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll relay that again to him. And then,
30 days? Is it reasonable? Because he was talking about he wanted to do it, remember that night, he was like, I want to do this tomorrow. I got to get these trees out of the ground.
right, yeah.
yeah,
If
45
he
days?
doesn't have them done by the middle of June, they're not
Motion
gonna
45
live.
days.
is that good with everybody?
Second.
I don't think we need a motion on that, do we? It's just a discussion.
Oh, it's a discussion.
Suggestion, 45 days.
Sounds fine.
If he doesn't have them in by then,
Just
they're not
as long
gonna
as he
live.
starts planting something
Tomorrow.
Okay.
so we don't have to.
Before,
have it back up
I
again.
know we're still waiting on Donna, but deliberations on enforcement, is this
Finish before dark.
Meadowend Road, did we complete? Is that a discussion? Do we have to deliberate on that?
I think we did.
I
Or
think
did we
you
already
did
do
already.
Did
that?
on the
Okay,
fly.
all right, I just want to make sure that, I know we kind of sped through that, I want to make sure I didn't jump the gun. All right, we gotta wait for Donna to come back with this information if it's there, before we move on.
So Scott, I
to
got a
the-
question. On 111, when you're going down 111, you know where the school is, right? And there's a law firm right next to them, and then there's a house that's been derelict and not, just been abandoned. I don't know if anybody still owns it.
That's
But-
the law firm, right?
No, law firm's right next to the school, and then there's
Yeah.
another building that looks like the trees are starting to grow into the building.
Okay,
But there's storm damaged trees, who owns that property next to it? Because I know the funeral home is there, but there's 6 or 7 trees that are huge that went down in that storm 3 years ago.
okay.
And I'm like, who?
So you're saying there's an old house in there?
No, that old house is the next thing, between the funeral home and the law firm, there's an old house there.
Yeah, is an old house.
So does the town ever, do they enforce anything? There is one
Well,
across
the
from
only
Walgreens
enforcement-
too. There's a house that's been sitting there across from Walgreens that's been derelict for 25 years. They literally had so many trees go through that roof that now they had to board it up so people don't go in there and get hurt.
Yeah, the only thing the town would do is if there's a complaint, they have a blight ordinance.
Well, that house across from Walgreens is a blight. I mean,
Yeah, sometimes you can have a blight situation,
Uh.
and especially in a commercial area, and no one seems
because
to,
that looks nice up
no
there.
one seems to
You
really
see that-
care if it's
that house.
overgrown that much. Seems like there's more complaints in a, nicely
Residential area.
maintained residential area, they call right away. Sometimes in commercial areas, especially if it gets overgrown, no one seems to call about it. So, unless you,
No, I was wondering about that,
Did you
because
find it?
with those
So I
dead
did say-
trees that went down in storms, there's a lot of dead trees on that road.
yeah.
Did anybody at the meeting?
I did not, I looked real quick, just to say I didn't see it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're back to 265.
265 Turkey Roost Road.
Yeah, and this, it was already on your agenda for the other thing, so, I called, and left a message, a couple of questions. We are having an issue with finding Tupelo, is that how you say it?
Tupelo.
Tupelo tree. Would
Is that
any of the
Mississippi
following be
Tupelo?
okay? Pin oak, red maple, shimmered oak, or American elm to replace it?
American elm.
Why would anybody put in an elm tree now?
I didn't think you could even get it.
Oh, no, they're good now.
Chinese are the ones that they're replacing them with.
I have an elm tree in my yard.
Elm trees are
Really?
back in.
American.
Then, but what about the borer?
Yeah, I've heard that
I put one in
too.
about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've heard
Put a whole
that too.
stretch of them in, and we fought it, and the state even argued against it, and they're all still fine.
Good.
I've heard that they have resistance.
Yeah, there's a resistance, and the beetles are all
Well, it's a blight, isn't it? Is it
Not
the elm
lizard.
blight? What
American
was it?
elm,
It
Dutch
wasn't a
elm
bug.
disease.
Dutch,
Yes.
yeah,
I think it's a
okay.
beetle that carries the
Oh, all right.
disease or
Okay.
something.
So what would be a good substitute for tupelo? Because I don't even know what a tupelo is.
What
Red
else did we
maple.
ask to put in?
He has to put in pin oak, which are very tall and kind of messy, right? Drop a lot of stuff.
But they're
But they're-
hardy as all.
They're hard, very hard.
Very hardy.
Yeah, pin oaks are, red maple,
There you go, I like that.
Oak is a much tougher, longer.
so you like the pin oak and you like the red maple, the shumared oak,
What is that?
Schumer oak.
shamard, S-H-U-M-A-R-D.
That's hickory.
Shimard?
And
Well, obviously, we
American
can't use that one because we can't pronounce it.
Yes.
elm. Okay, so
Never
you're
heard of
okay with the pin oak or the red maple?
Yeah.
Sure.
Gotcha. Got it. All right, we went over a 15 Owl Hill, and now you're on to minutes.
What happened to
Lois?
Shumard Ark. Shumard Ark is a spotted oak or a schneck oak,
Okay.
red oak,
Spotted
swamp
oak.
red oak.
Oh, you picked that.
Does anybody else read these minutes besides me?
I read it.
Yes.
Okay, on to general discussion,
When-
minutes
when-
of
oh,
April 25th, 2018.
Move to approve with changes.
Okay, I have well, go ahead, what are your changes?
They're minor. Page 5, at the very bottom, we referred to wet meadow sweet plants, and they're meadow sweet plants with a T, not a P.
Yep,
Got it? And at the end, oh no, it's not as bad as it looks, there's a lot of close-ups there. Underneath the Regulation Amendment Committee, page 8, yes. 90% have violation fees, they're at least double their regular fees. It has nothing to do with our fees. It says double the town of Monroe's fees, but it's not our fees, it's their regular fees to act as a deterrent for violation.
Violation fees that are at least double.
Right there. At least double their regular fees,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then the last one is, as kind of after the next sentence about Scott stating that our position is supposed to be non-punitive, I responded back that it was not about revenue, but as incentive to talk to the IW department before they did any work.
Second?
Anybody else have any changes? Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Spence to adopt the minutes of the meeting of April 25th, 2018 as amended, and a second by Commissioner Stewart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Carries unanimously. Fantastic job,
It was
folks.
Lois and Jim? Is that what
Yes.
you
Lois
said?
and Jim, yes. Do I have anything from the Regulation Amendment Committee?
No.
Nothing,
Anything from the Public Outreach Committee?
nothing,
Any correspondence?
nothing.
Nothing.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Stewart. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second and a third. Commissioner,
Clark?
Yeah.
Okay.
all those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Any abstention? Meeting's adjourned.